Well, now joining us on Book TV is best-selling author Scott Turow. Mr. Turow, you also have another identity, and that's president of the Authors Guild. First of all, what is the Authors Guild?
The Authors Guild is the largest membership organization of professional authors in the United States. There are about 9,000 members. The Guild's 100 years old, and it's been sticking up for authors as a group for a century now.
Is the Guild just best-selling authors? Or
No, the Guild includes everybody from self-published authors who make money at it to a number of best-selling authors. But frankly, best-selling authors don't need anywhere near as much help as the people who are starting out and the people who are struggling to make a living. So that's where our interests are concentrated these days. It's trying to make sure that writing remains a livelihood for as many people as possible.
Well, recently in the New York Times, you wrote an op-ed, "The Slow Death of the American Author,"
Right.
as president of the Authors Guild.
Right.
Could you capsulize this for us?
Yeah, I think it's really easy. The advent of digital has basically set off a free-for-all, and everybody is trying to reposition themselves in this universe, and the net result is that almost everyone wants to do it at the expense of authors, diminishing the value of copyrights, pirating books, paying lower royalties as the publishers want to do. Libraries want to lend ebooks so that you can get them from home. All kinds of things that will end up diminishing the market for books, and people somehow have the attitude of, oh, those authors are so greedy, whereas if you were talking about giving away automobiles, everybody would understand why General Motors was unhappy.
So you take on Amazon in this op-ed.
Among many others, yes.
Right, but why Amazon? What's Amazon done to hurt authors in your view?
Well, Amazon, a company that big can't be either all bad or all good. And Amazon's done some great things for authors, especially Kindle singles and for self-published authors. They've also done things that I think are not necessarily in authors' best interest, including trying to kill the bookstores by means fair and foul. Now they've acquired a patent to resell ebooks. They started out by creating this market to resell hardcovers, which was obviously damaging to sales. Reselling ebooks would mean you'd sell about 3 ebooks and everybody else would buy it at the reduced price from Amazon henceforth. And of course, the big problem with that is that, as I said, all of the profit from the second sale would go to Amazon. And, that's the difficulty.
You also talk about a recent Supreme Court case.
Right. This was just sort of an example of what I said to start, namely that sort of no matter what you do, authors end up getting kicked. This was, sort of esoteric case. This often arises before the Supreme Court, but a publisher, John Wiley, published its textbooks in English in foreign countries with the explicit provision that it couldn't be resold in the United States. A young Thai student began importing these English language books through his family in Thailand and selling them here in the US. And Wiley said, well, you can't do that. And the Supreme Court said, no, the first sale doctrine, which treats a book as a physical object and says it's yours the same way the sofa in your living room is, and you can sell it to whomever you want. They said that applies even to foreign sales of books, and ergo, this young man could resell his textbooks in the United States. Wasn't a big deal, although you never could have done that years ago. He does it on the internet and eBay, and that's why it's working for him. And it's just one more, frankly, fairly unimportant example, unless I was John Wiley, of how the advent of the digital world is nibbling away at authors and very often publishers' sources of income.
One other, not enemy, but one other point you make is public libraries and ebooks. What's their role?
Well, authors and libraries have long been friends, and I hope that they will continue to be. The problem is that a lot of public librarians are very doctrinaire in believing that information wants to be free, which is a polite way of saying books ought to be free. And so they're very aggressive in advocating copying, digital scanning of existing copyright books, and advancing ebook lending from home. Traditionally, you could use a library book for free, but you had to go into the library. Now, they want and have succeeded in persuading the publishers to make ebooks available to anybody with a library card and an internet connection. And we'll see how it works out. Some publishers, like my publisher, Grand Central, which is publishing Identical, my next novel, Grand Central and the Hachette Group, of which it's part, have said, we'll sell you the ebook, but at 3 times its retail cost. Other of the major publishers have made other arrangements. Some say it'll only last 26 weeks, and then it'll vanish from the library's virtual shelves. There's all kinds of ways of dealing with the obvious fact that ebook lending from home will have an impact on ebook buying from home. This is a tough question, because in the United States, we've always had a public library system which has made books available without cost to library patrons. And most authors I know have been nurtured by that system. So they don't want to see it come down. But I am always amused when people will, bang the tub for the free enterprise system without realizing that a library is basically a communist enterprise. It takes goods and delivers them for free to the masses. And again, it worked well for me. It's worked well for most authors. But the fact that people take it as a right without recognizing the conflict in the rest of the system is pretty amusing. And just one example, Microsoft, for example, doesn't say that you can download Microsoft Word for free. You can't lend it. They're not buying in. So the biggest economic interests in the country don't allow the same thing that the libraries expect, trade book authors to do.
So, Scott Turow, is there a percentage or an estimate of a percentage of how many of your books people could get for free on the internet right now?
There are 2 means these days of getting books for free. One legitimate, which is to borrow them from a library, and the book will last on your reading device 2 weeks and then it'll vanish. The other unfortunate way, far more unfortunate, is that there are tons of book pirating sites located offshore. Unfortunately for my publishers and me, every book I've written is available both ways. And as I said, I'm happy that I have readers in public libraries. And for somebody like me, it doesn't matter. If there's a hit to sales, it's so what? Nobody needs to hold a tag day for me. Pirating drives me crazy. And it drives me crazy because the search engines have a big role in it. And they don't want any legislation that'll keep them from directing searchers, their customers, to these pirate sites. So you can.
And they have ads on these pirate sites.
Yes,
as
so
well.
they put in, you put in free Scott Turow ebook, and it'll take you to it'll direct you to the pirate sites, and Google or Yahoo or everybody else, Bing, they'll all be selling advertising in the process of doing that. And as I pointed out in the piece in the Times, I went to a street corner and said to somebody, where do I buy dope around here? And that person got paid every time they gave directions to a customer. They